Welcome, race fans! Toro Squad Racing is back! 7 rounds are behind us, and tonight Season 1 heads to the United States for Round 8 at the legendary Sebring International Raceway. Fast, bumpy, unforgiving, and absolutely brutal on both the cars and the drivers.
And this championship is entering the business end of the season. Every point matters now, every position matters, and Sebring is exactly the kind of circuit that can turn the standings upside down. Those famous bumps will test consistency, the heavy braking zones will create opportunities, and with GT3 cars fighting for the same piece of asphalt, expect action from the very first lap. Tonight isn't just about outright speed. Sebring rewards patience, precision, and drivers who can stay out of trouble. Push too little and you lose positions. Push too hard, and Sebring will happily remind you who's really in control. Tonight's broadcast is proudly sponsored by Toro Squad Racing and mfloresracing.club, following Misael and the NASCAR journey of the number 27 machine. The cars are ready, Sebring is waiting, and now it's time to hand things over to Dexanal for every battle, every overtake, and every moment of Round 8. Gentlemen, take it away. Let's go racing at Sebring!
Enjoying the race? Hit the like button and subscribe to support the channel. It helps us bring you more live GT3 action, endurance races, and AI-powered commentary with Dex and Al. Thanks for being part of the community. Today's broadcast is proudly supported by Toro Squad Racing and M. Flores Racing number 27. Their support helps us bring you live racing, AI-powered commentary, and an even better race day experience. Be sure to check out their links in the video description and support the people who make this broadcast possible. If you're enjoying the stream and would like to help us grow, leave a comment and let us know you'd like to support our videos or become a future partner. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for supporting the partners who support our racing community.
Three point 721. GT3.339. You've got about 5 laps of fuel. Checkered flag, checkered flag. One to go. Next time by. Line up on the left side.
Okay, good.
Everyone's gridded. Pit road is closed right now. One lap to green.
What's that, sir?
Catch start 2, car. 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 Get ready, going green. Pace car is off.
It's go time. Remember, faster doesn't always mean better, but it's fantastic. Somebody just turned pressure into a brand new position.
Position gained. Carlos is now P2.
Stay on the left.
Here is the gap picture. The margin to P1 ahead is 0.4 seconds.
Still there, hold your
P3
line.
is 0.0 seconds behind Carlos.
Clear. The next car's the leader.
You know what's terrifying, Al? Drivers willingly pay money to experience stress for 3 straight hours. That curb has launched more race cars into orbit than some actual space programs.
Valuable is a strong word, but the anecdote was entertaining.
Car 17 is collecting off-tracks like their loyalty points. One more lap complete.
End of lap 1. Carlos is running P2. The current top 3 are Andrew, Carlos, and Graham. Carlos has lost a little ground ahead, the gap is 2.1 seconds. The pressure from behind is easing, the gap is now 0.9 seconds.
Who is quietly doing something interesting while everyone watches the chaos.
Let's look at Rob, car number 8. Rob is currently running P4. Rob last pitted 2 laps ago.
Smooth. That is exactly how you make strategy work without drawing too much attention. In IMSA, driver changes can happen in less than 25 seconds, including seat swap, belts, and a radio check. That's choreography on caffeine. Real, who should we be watching right now?
The closest battle is currently for P4. Graham and Rob are separated by only 1.6 seconds.
A little loss there and the race continues. Calm, nothing to panic about, which in motorsport is almost suspicious. Fine, the situation looks stable, or highly controlled chaos.
Lap 2 is complete. Carlos currently holds P2. Carlos has lost a little ground ahead, the gap is 3.3 seconds. Carlos has increased the gap to P3, it is now 2.0 seconds.
Al, who has produced the fastest lap.
The fastest driver so far is Andrew, car number 2, with a best lap of 2:01.855.
Sharp. Everything seems to be coming together at exactly the right time. End of the lap and not a single track limit line. Who are we? Al, check for identity theft.
That completes lap 3. Carlos is running P2. Here is the gap picture. The gap to P1 has increased. Carlos is now 4.7 seconds behind. P3 has reduced the gap to Carlos, it is now 1.5 seconds.
Al, where's the fastest lap sitting right now, and who delivered it?
The fastest driver so far is Graham, car number 57, with a best lap of 2:02.325.
Fantastic. Those numbers are enough to make the rest of the field slightly uncomfortable. That lap was cleaner than the excuses we usually hear after contact.
That completes lap 4. Carlos crosses the line in P2. Looking at the cars around Carlos. Carlos has lost a little ground ahead, the gap is 5.3 seconds. The car behind is applying pressure, the margin is down to 1.1 seconds.
Driver Spotlight 14 Al, who is quietly building a story somewhere in this field.
Let's look at Ben, car number 77. Ben is currently running P5. Ben's last lap is about 4.9 seconds slower than the fastest lap of the race.
Nothing too surprising there, just a race doing what races do. Car 7 is driving like there's an important meeting tomorrow and he absolutely does not want to attend it. That lap was something. Al, was it fast or just felt fast because of fear?
Lap 5 is complete. Carlos is running P2. Across the line, it is Andrew from Carlos and Graham. Here is the gap picture. Carlos has lost a little ground ahead, the gap is 5.7 seconds. The margin back to P3 remains steady at 0.9 seconds.
Who has caught your analytical eye?
Let's look at Rob, car number 8. Rob is currently running P4. Rob's last lap is about 3.0 seconds slower than the fastest lap of the race.
Solid, not spectacular. At Le Mans 2011, a GT car cut across the track and sent a prototype flying into the barrier at over 270 kilometers per hour, and the driver walked away. Racing is wild.
Left side, clear. Pit box in.
Motorsport can be brutal sometimes.
Position lost.
5,
Carlos is now P3.
3.
That lap,
You have about
End
1
of lap
fuel
6.
left. 1.
Carlos crosses the line in P3. Andrew leads the race, with Graham second and Carlos third.
lost the position there, but importantly, no contact and no damage.
Go, go,
That
go.
matters in a long race.
Position lost. Carlos is now P4.
That battle cost a bit of time, a bit of tire, and unfortunately one position as well.
Position lost. Carlos is now P5. Looking at the cars around Carlos. P4 is 1.6 seconds up the road from Carlos.
Which driver should everyone be watching right now?
Let's look at Graham, car number 57. Graham is currently running P2. Graham's last lap is about 0.5 seconds slower than the fastest lap of the race.
A little loss there and the race continues. Calm, nothing to panic about, which in motorsport is almost suspicious. Fine, the situation looks stable.
The leader's pitting now.
Andrew has entered pit lane from P1.
Car right.
Smart.
To the right.
Sometimes patience overtakes aggression.
Position gained. Carlos is now P4.
3, 2.
That pass probably hurt the ego more than the championship.
Clear.
Brilliant. That's the racing version of excuse me, just passing through.
Position gained. Carlos is now P2. The margin to P1 ahead is 4.0 seconds. P3 is 1.3 seconds behind Carlos.
At the Nürburgring, drivers often say you don't learn the track. The track slowly agrees to let you survive it. '09 Al, who deserves a little attention right now, for better or worse.
Let's look at Ben, car number 77. Ben is currently running P5. Ben's last lap is about 11 seconds slower than the fastest lap of the race. Ben last pitted 1 lap ago.
Calculated. Every lap seems to be part of a much bigger plan.
Dex, let us calculate the odds that your next comment is useful.
4. You're back in second.
Go ahead.
You know motorsport is serious when grown adults celebrate gaining 2/10 like they've just won the lottery.
The humans may have learned something. I will verify later.
That's a lap. It had corners, lines, maybe even a break point. Al, any hope?
That completes lap 8. Carlos is running P2. At the front, Andrew leads Carlos and Graham. Here is the gap picture. P1 has edged away to 4.3 seconds. No major change behind, the gap is still 1.4 seconds. Rob has entered pit lane from P5. Dex, share one of those observations that only makes sense in your head.
Professional drivers are unbelievably disciplined with throttle control. They feed power in smoothly. The rest of us just stomp on it and hope.
Valuable is a strong word, but the anecdote was entertaining.
Fast, dramatic, and only slightly terrifying.
Lap 9 is complete. Carlos is running P2. The gap to P1 has increased. Carlos is now 4.5 seconds behind. Carlos has increased the gap to P3, it is now 2.1 seconds.
Pick a driver and tell us what has been happening.
Let's look at Ben, car number 77. Ben started in P5 and is currently running P4, gaining 1 position. Ben's last lap is about 5.2 seconds slower than the fastest lap of the race.
But racing rarely stays still. Car 2 is so committed into these braking zones, even physics seems slightly nervous. That lap looked expensive.
End of lap 10. Carlos currently holds P2. The current top 3 are Andrew, Carlos, and Graham. Carlos has lost a little ground ahead. The gap is 4.8 seconds. P3 is closing from behind, now 1.3 seconds back. Dex, entertain the humans with one of your allegedly valuable observations.
At Bathurst, there's a corner called the Chase. Most drivers agree it's named after what your heartbeat does when you arrive there at full speed.
An impressive combination of confidence and randomness. Dex, choose a random subject and try to make it sound important.
The pros don't fight the car. They convince the car to cooperate.
Probability of usefulness, inconclusive. Entertainment value, acceptable.
One more lap done, and the car is still pretending everything is under control.
Lap 11 is complete. Carlos is running P2. Here is the gap picture. P1 has edged away to 5.3 seconds. P3 has reduced the gap to Carlos, it is now 1.0 seconds.
Professional racers know exactly when to risk everything and when to back out. That's why they stay professional. Driver Spotlight 14 Al, who is quietly building a story somewhere in this field.
Let's look at Ben, car number 77. Ben started in P5 and is currently running P4, gaining 1 position. Ben's last lap is about 8.6 seconds slower than the fastest lap of the race.
Alright, that gives us a pretty clear picture of the race so far. Which driver should everyone be watching right now?
The leader is running 1.
Let's look at Andrew, car number 2. Andrew is currently running P1. Andrew's last lap is almost matching the fastest lap of the race.
Not disastrous, just quietly getting the job done, steady. End of the lap and we're still in one piece. That's progress. Al, tell me we're not last.
That completes lap 12. Carlos is running P2. Here is the gap picture. No major change ahead, P1 remains 5.3 seconds away. Carlos is holding the gap behind at 1.1 seconds. Dex, give the audience a random thought, fact, or anecdote.
Someone out there thinks this is their shot at glory, and someone else just thinks it's a Tuesday. And that, my friends, is the beauty of sim racing.
Thank you, Dex. Relevance was optional and you respected that.
Filling up now should get us to the end.
All things are getting spicy.
You've got wheel damage.
2x, that spin was smoother than some overtakes we've seen today.
That incident added 2 incident points. The total is now 2.
Another lap finished. Calm on the outside, absolute panic inside the cockpit.
Lap 13 is complete. Carlos is running P2. Carlos has lost a little ground ahead, the gap is 7.7 seconds. The car behind is applying pressure, The margin is down to 0.4 seconds.
Somewhere in pit lane, an engineer just opened the tire data and quietly lost faith in humanity.
Refuel.
Who has caught your analytical eye?
Let's look at Ben, car number 77. Ben started in P5 and is currently running P4, gaining 1 position. Ben's last lap is about 4.2 seconds slower than the fastest lap of the race.
5,
The numbers are not shouting yet, but they may have something to say later.
1.
End of the lap and not a single track limit warning. Who are we? Al, check for identity theft.
That completes lap 14. Carlos is running P2.
You gave that everything defensively? No shame losing it after a battle like that.
Position lost. Carlos is now P3.
Keep it up, we're in a great spot.
P2 is 2.3 seconds up the road from Carlos. The car behind, P4, trails by 26.5 seconds.
This broadcast is sponsored by Nitrotech Cooling Systems, keeping performance under control. Today's action is brought to you by Elevate Sim Cockpits. Race like the pros. The Mulsanne Straight at Le Mans used to be fully flat out before chicanes were added in 1990. Apparently, 400 kilometers an hour was considered slightly excessive.
The lead is pitting now.
I have filed that under unexpected human commentary.
Some we see drivers race through sunrise during endurance events, which sounds beautiful until you realize they're also exhausted and surrounded by traffic. F1 pit crews can swap 4 tires in under 2 seconds. You blink, they've already changed them and wiped the visor. Another lap complete.
That completes lap 15.
7.2.
Carlos crosses the line in P3. Across the line, it is Andrew from Graham and Carlos. Here is the gap picture. Carlos has reduced the gap to P2, it is now 2.1 seconds. The pressure from behind is easing, the gap is now 29.2 seconds.
The car behind is pitting.
Ben has entered pit lane from P4.
Driver Spotlight 12 Al, who has an interesting race developing that we may have missed.
Let's look at Graham, car number 57. Graham is currently running P2. Graham's last lap is about 30 seconds slower than the fastest lap of the race. Graham last pitted 2 laps ago.
5 laps of fuel left.
Bold, I like the idea, but racing has a habit of punishing confidence. 1X, that excursion looked very adventurous for absolutely no reason.
That incident added 1 incident point, the total is now 3.
That lap had more movement than a supermarket trolley with 1 broken wheel.
That completes lap 16. Carlos currently holds P3. Looking at the cars around Carlos. Carlos is closing on P2, down to 0.7 seconds. The car behind is 61.1 seconds behind Carlos. Dex, surprise the audience with a fact, story, or questionable insight.
Paddock gossip says engineers trust data more than drivers, until the driver suddenly becomes faster.
Noted. I will return us to the race before you find another story.
Lap done. If style points mattered, we'd be podium. Al, sadly they don't. Give me the real stats.
Lap 17 is complete. Carlos is running P3. Here is the gap picture. Carlos is closing on P2, down to 0.4 seconds. The margin back to the car behind remains steady at 61.1 seconds. Dex, the humans require entertainment. Offer them something unexpected.
In IMSA, GT drivers often say prototypes appear in the mirrors so quickly they seem to arrive from next Tuesday.
The audience has now been entertained, confused, or both.
1X, that was racing line and more tourism package.
That incident added 1 incident point, the total is now 4.
car in P1, just set the fastest lap. 1.
Andrew has set the fastest lap of the race at 2:01.017.
Another lap gone and the mirrors are still full of bad intentions.
That completes lap 18. Carlos crosses the line in P3. Carlos is closing on P2, down to 0.2 seconds. The margin back to the car behind remains steady at 61.1 seconds.
You've got about 2 laps of fuel left.
Fun fact, some of the biggest arguments in motorsport history started over team orders, radio messages, and drivers refusing to move over politely. Find us a driver whose telemetry has something interesting to say.
Let's look at Graham, car number 57.
That means 1 more lap.
Graham is currently running P2. Graham's last lap is about 1.5 seconds slower than the fastest lap of the race.
0.435.
The numbers are behaving themselves for the moment, stable. Another lap complete. The car behind is still there, unfortunately.
That completes lap 19. Carlos currently holds P3.
Drifting was not part of the strategy.
That incident added 1 incident point. The total is now 5. Here is the gap picture. The gap to P2 has increased. Carlos is now 0.6 seconds behind. Carlos is holding the gap behind at 61.1 seconds.
You have about 1 lap of fuel left.
Time to park it and pretend we'll all drive better next week.
There's the flag.
Al, give us the
It's
names
over.
of glory.
Carlos finished the race in
Great job.
P3.
You did really well.
The podium is P1 Andrew, P2 Graham, and P3 Carlos.